Well, welcome to this edition of Fop-Tv On Demand. Today we're going to talk about Cri-Tac. If any of you have gone to any state or national conference in the last few years, then you certainly know our guest today, and that's National Sergeant at Arms Keith Turney, who has really taken on this the Cri-Tac initiative is really the lead for the Fraternal Order of Police. So today we're going to spend a little time talking about what is Cri-Tac and how can it benefit our members across the country. Keith, why don't you take a minute just to introduce yourself and we'll dive into Cri-Tac.
Yeah, sure. I'm Keith Turney, the National Sergeant at Arms with Fraternal Order of Police. Of course, you know we represent close to 355,000 active and retired law enforcement officers. I'm the project manager for Cri-Tac for the National FOP, and I'm a retired police commander from the city of Joliet, Illinois.
Oh, great. So Keith, tell us about this partnership with Cri-Tac. What does Cri-Tac stand for, and what's the how does the members benefit from it?
Yeah, well, the Cri-Tac stands for the Collaborative Reform Initiative Technical Assistance Center. It's a consortium of 10 of the major law enforcement organizations led by the International Association of Chiefs of Police. And we work under the Department of Justice and the COPS office. And it's a by the field, for the field program to provide technical assistance to the practical demands of law enforcement today.
Cool. So tell me what. So we're partners in this group. How does the FOP fall into this group? This collaborative effort.
Yeah. Besides us, of course, and the International Association of Chiefs of Police, there's 9 other partners. The FBI National Academy is a partner. The International Association of Campus Law Enforcement Administrators is a partner. The International Association of Directors of Law Enforcement Standards and Training, those are our post directors throughout the country. The National Association of Women in Law Enforcement Executives, they're a partner in the organization. The National Sheriff's Association, National Tactical Officers Association, and just as of recently, we brought on the Major County Sheriffs of America.
So I notice I'm looking at the list of people who participate in it. We kind of are the rank and file representative on this group. Could you elaborate on that a little more?
Yeah, for sure. We bring a unique perspective to the Cri-Tac initiative because, as you stated, we represent the rank and file. And I'll also add that our input into this project is very well appreciated by other partners because we actually are speaking for the often forgotten officer in the lone patrol car that's working the midnight shift. So our partners like to hear our perspective on any initiative that we get involved in with Cri-Tac.
So we're really the labor management side of this equation in coming up with a good sound approach to addressing issues in the country, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We are the labor in management. Yes.
Yeah. So you know, Cri-Tac addresses the practical demands of today's law enforcement and those individuals. Talk a little bit about that, if you would.
Well, we serve state, county, municipal, campus, and tribal law enforcement communities. So all of those various law enforcement entities are eligible to apply for Cri-Tac support.
Yeah. Well, this is a pretty extensive list. I mean, there are a lot of different topics and support structures that exist within Cri-Tac. So, you know, it's little obstacles that exist with it as well. But can you talk a little bit about the list and some of the most popular services that are provided by Cri-Tac?
Well, yeah. So currently we have approximately 37 areas where we can provide technical assistance in, and that number changes as the demand in policing changes. So if one was to look at that list and say, well, there's something on there that doesn't really apply to what I'm looking for, it really doesn't matter. You can still ask for assistance, and we'll probably wind up putting your subject on the list. Now, with COVID-19, we've been a little restricted in some of our on-site training opportunities. However, the four that are highlighted, the active shooter response, community engagement, crisis intervention, and the de-escalation training, we are back into providing that as in-person training.
That's great. Yeah, great. So yeah, I think there's a long list of some really great training that agencies across this country could certainly benefit from. And the interesting thing is it really is sort of, to some extent, tailored to the specific needs of agencies, and some larger approach to touch all of these different services. But the obvious question I think most would have is, that's fine. I'm in a small agency, or I'm in a large agency that's really strapped with our budget. What does it cost for an agency to take advantage of the Cri-Tac initiative in the services they provide?
That's what's the real beauty of this entire program, because everything we provide is absolutely free. And that doesn't matter whether you're a 3 or 4 man department or you're several thousand members. Everything we provide is free. The only thing we ask of an agency is to potentially provide a place to hold training or a place to hold meetings, maybe provide some coffee in the morning, some AV equipment if it's needed. But other than that, everything we provide is totally free. Our trainers, the travel, everything is covered through the program.
Well, so the FOP, we're embarked on a mission here to light a path forward in these very challenging times we have in law enforcement. And law enforcement agencies also play a very significant role in doing this training. But what if an FOP lodge, and we know what the administration approach is, and their responsibility is to provide training. But what if an FOP lodge wanted to host this training somewhere in the country, any part of this, in order to be able to better empower their members with the tools to be successful in law enforcement? Can you talk a little bit about what that approach would be, and if it's even possible?
Yeah, this is very exciting, because we just instituted this last year, where now an FOP lodge can actually apply for the training. The only thing that we ask is that lodge partner with a local administrator somewhere in their area, so that we don't have any conflicting training objectives. We want to make sure that we're not only providing the services that a lodge would request, but that an administrator in that area would also find worthy. And again, totally free, no cost. I would suggest, if you are a lodge and you want to apply for support through Cri-Tac, probably get a hold of me, and I can walk you through the process to make sure that your needs are met.
So Keith, one of the things that we've been talking about for a while was doing de-escalation training, recognizing that we even as all the way back in October, recognized that we could see this rhetoric building, and we knew in an election year was going to bring it up. And we knew that was very important. Now, we were well on a path of providing that to our members across the country. And unfortunately, COVID really slowed everything down because of our inability to have in-person contact. And could you talk a little bit about where we are with that? Where are we with offering de-escalation training, at least as an organization across the country?
Yeah, I think we're very close to getting that ramped up. As a matter of fact, I have asked the COPS office to provide us with a sort of a map of the country as to where the demands are typically coming in the forms of de-escalation, so that then we can partner with our local FOPs in those areas to provide de-escalation training. So you were right. We were making good progress, and then COVID hit, which kind of slowed us down. And then the social unrest, of course, set everybody back a little bit. But actually, because of the unrest in our country right now, our demand for de-escalation training is dramatically up. And as you can see, we're going to be able to provide that in service or in-person training. So I'm really looking forward within the next couple of months to really get something rolling, that the National FOP will sponsor various locations across the country, where we can not only provide the de-escalation training, but also show the country what the FOP is all about, what we have to offer.
Yeah. So how does someone go about that? I know I've heard you speak many times about the Cri-Tac portal. How does that work? How does someone become involved, get that information?
Yeah, well, it's very easy to access the information as well as apply to get into the program. If you go to FOP.net, which is the FOP's website, at the top and bottom of our home page, you'll see the Cri-Tac banner that comes across. You click on that banner, that takes you right to the portal that's run by the Department of Justice and the International Association of Chiefs of Police. And in there, all the information related to Cri-Tac is available to you. And the application process is so simple that some people have a hard time actually believing it. But it's actually, all you need to do is submit an email. You don't have to supply any financial documentation. You don't have to, go into your budget or anything like that. It's totally needs based, not financial based. So all you have to do is say, this is where we need some help, and we'd like some help from Cri-Tac, and somebody will get back to you within about a week. Now that's just going through the FOP. Any one of our partners has the same portal on their website. So if you're on the NTOA website, or you're on major county sheriff's website or whatever, you're going to see that Cri-Tac logo. You'll be able to click on it and it'll portal you right in. And I tell people too, just Google Cri-Tac, and it'll take you right to the portal that way as well. So there's many ways to access this information. And then once you're there, very easy to apply.
Yeah, Keith, I think the interesting thing of this, and you touched on it, but I'd like to just maybe go a little deeper in this. This is more than just an opportunity to provide training. This really is, you look at all the partners, you meet once a week as a group and analyze each one of these requests in order to be able to have a holistic approach of trying to improve law enforcement agencies, regardless of the size. I'm just curious, in a typical week, just so everyone can understand that this is more than just offering training. This really is a strong approach on how to improve and get a hold of services available through the federal government. Could you just talk about just a typical meeting in a week and how maybe some of the paths that you've taken, examples?
Well, I'll tell you, we probably telephone in or we'll computer in 4 or 5 times a week to triage a specific request from an agency, and we'll go through. NTOA will have their good questions that they're interested in, and IACP will want some information. Of course, from the FOP's perspective, we want to make sure that the rank and file officer is being properly served. And so it really, it's like this very synergistic sort of a meeting where, we're really able to come up with some great ideas and some great plans for a lot of these agencies. And the other spin-off on this is that because these 10 groups are constantly communicating every week, 3 or 4 times a week, and we also have a meeting where when we're not even triaging, we kind of just talk through, what the developments are in law enforcement for the week. We have been able to really form a pretty cohesive alliance where we all kind of have gained a better insight and better understanding into the roles that each of us play in law enforcement. And I know for sure that in my interactions with a lot of the folks in Cri-Tac, they totally understand what the FOP is all about and how we represent the rank and file officer.
Yeah, and it's a great program. We get great results. Our members have access to some really high quality training here. And I know we talked about this, but just as we start to wrap this up, COVID has kind of changed our world. It's changed our ability to be able to meet and do a lot of things. But in addition to that, Cri-Tac has some avenues to be able to help with COVID as well. So if you take just a minute and explain how this really good initiative that was working with agencies across the country had to adapt and evolve with the challenges with COVID.
Well, what was really interesting is that when COVID hit, we all had to pivot and kind of go to an online sort of platform for our communications, for our training deliveries. So the whole CRITAC program had to pivot as well. We had to network with a lot of our trainers and a lot of our vendors that we work with just to ensure that they could deliver the type of training and consultations that we needed through a computer based system. So that that in itself kind of created a whole different nuance to the program itself and how we provide training out in the field. Some of the agencies that we're working with were uncomfortable, with doing a training on the web. So some of our agencies kind of put their training off, saying, look, when this whole COVID thing kind of lifts, we want to still stay in the mix, but right now we're going to kind of stand back. Well, others were really embracing it because it was a better way for them to get their officers trained, because we can customize training to any needs. So for example, we can supply 2-hour blocks, every other day or every week, so that the manpower doesn't have to get depleted while they go through training. So the whole thing is kind of just really evolved with COVID. And the other interesting thing with when COVID hit is we actually started a project within CRITAC that is based with IACP, but all of us were providing information into a database on how we were all dealing with the various issues with COVID, whether it was PPP issues or how we were going to staff our departments and creative shift scheduling and that sort of thing. So we've created an entire database just surrounded around COVID, because we're getting so much questions on how to deal with the dilemma of COVID. So we've got that going now. With the current unrest that's been going throughout the country, we're networking again, trying to look at best practices on how to deal with the social unrest we're dealing with today.
So I guess the takeaway here is that whatever the current issues are today, CRITAC and its partners are finding a path through it. So those resources are there. But to someone who's interested in saying, you know what, this is a great idea, maybe I need to wait until COVID lifts so that we can take advantage of some of this. I guess the message that we're trying to convey is don't wait. Maybe the training itself, but the process where with the triage and having the committees work together, developing this, the time would be now, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Get yourself into the mix as soon as possible. It's like anything else. This program is grant driven through the Department of Justice. And right now we have the funds. And I would, I don't want to project what may occur in the future, but you never know, depending on where this country goes in the next couple of years, or whether those funds are going to be available. So you want to get in the queue right now as soon as possible. Yeah.
Keith, great. And this is obviously a grant program through the Department of Justice, and you can't have a discussion about grant programs with the Department of Justice without a disclosure. So
and there you go.
Opportunity to do your disclosure.
Well, you can just read it on the screen, but yes, everything that we're discussing here, of course, in no way represents the Department of Justice or the United States government. So there you go.
Great. All right. Well, if you want more information about CRITAC, here's Keith's information, his cell phone, and his email address. Keith, I personally want to thank you as the president of FOP for the hard work that you do. I think most people, we tend to give Keith a hard time on a national board because he's constantly talking about CRITAC. We actually think that may be his middle name. He does a great job, but he's a great advocate for this training, and I know it takes a lot of time, and I appreciate you taking a lead on this and making it available to our members. You're doing great work, and you and the entire team, the other organizations as well. So I thank you for that. If you want any information about CRITAC, even if it's just information to be able to share with the members in your state and your lodge, Keith is your contact person. He has a number of collateral information that he can send to you, or you can hand out to your members. But more importantly, if you have specific problems in your agency where training can be beneficial, Keith's your guy, and he can help you navigate through this process and provide some great training. So Keith, anything before we sign off? Anything you'd like to finish up with?
Just it's an honor to serve our members, and it's an honor to serve our members through the Cri-Tac program, because it's really beneficial to our organization. So it's a labor of love for me.
Great. Yeah, keep up the great work. And brothers and sisters, we put together this weekly Fop-Tv on demand with timely issues that are important to empower our members with information to be effective leaders in our lodge. Please share this information with your members. Please share these videos, this link, and every week we will have good information coming out to share our members. Be safe. And be strong and be the professionals that we are in law enforcement. I thank you all for what you're doing, and be vigilant. These are some very trying times for our membership. Thank you very much for attending, and I'll see you next week.